Hello. So I wanted to come on here while this trend is still like hot and fresh and new in the yarn world. These. The Red Heart Super Saver Granny Square color pulling yarn, right? So I've been thinking about it. I've watched a bunch of reviews. I watched all my yarn girlies that I watch review them. And it occurred to me that it seems like a lot of people haven't tried color pulling before and don't know that it's annoying. So I was like, I want to find one. I just want to try it. Now, if you've been on my TikTok for a while, I did at one point try playing pulling. And that's where you make the little plaid, like esque thing out of ombre yarn, right? It's hard and it's annoying, and I didn't achieve it. But I understand the logistics of it, and I know why I didn't achieve it wasn't the yarn, because I got yarn that people had specifically color pulled with. It was me, right? And then I just got tired, so I didn't want to do it anymore. This seemed easier than the plan pulling of like trying to make like plaid, right? Because this is just granny squares, and so you're not having to like measure out and count your stitches for the first row and like do all this math, right? So I was like, let me try this because I get it logistically. I just didn't want to do all the effort. So I went to my Joann's today and they sold out. Sold out of everything, which I was just hoping that maybe they might have one in stock. But it looks like they were sold out of everything, so I was just meandering around looking at the different yarn, and I came across these. This is the only colorway they had. They only had about 5 of them, and I didn't know if I would like this, and I also, this was not the colorway I was trying to look for. I was trying to get like blues and greens, but I was like, oh, they have 5 left. I'm gonna take one, leave the other for the other girlies, and we're gonna see if we like it, right? So magically I found this, and I was like, look, we'll try it. If I like it, I'll order more in the colors I want, because online they seem to be back in stock, at least when I checked earlier today. It's Saturday. I think it's the 20th. Anyway, so I got this, and then I've watched a bunch of girlies try it, because I know the first complaint is that people don't make granny squares the way this thing tells you to make granny squares. Correct. I think the way they do it uses too much yarn. But I also understand that they made it take more yarn than it should for the girls who have really loose tension. Like, they were trying to make this so that everyone can do it, not just people who had really tight tension. I'm a person that has very tight tension, but I understand there are people with very loose tension and very inaccurate tension where it like changes all the time. And this is, they gave you extra yarn in every color so that those girlies could also work on it. So I do understand why, and I'm not mad. Do I think it's weird? Personally, yeah, but you can get over it. Like, it's really not that bad. People are really like fucked up about it, that it takes, because basically what it's telling you to do is you don't start with a magic circle. That has people fucked up. I hate magic circles. I hate them. I start my everything the way that this yarn tells you to start, which is you do chain 4, slip into the first chain, and then you start doing your granny stitches. People are really pressed about that. I like it. That's how I do my granny squares. That doesn't press with me. What does press me is that they tell you that once you do that, do 4, slip stitch it together. Then you chain 6, because you do 3 as a starting chain and then 3 in every corner. So in every corner you have 3 chains, and between each cluster of granny stitches you have a chain. I don't do that. I think that uses too much yarn. That's where the extra yarn is going. I don't chain between my granny clusters, and I only put 2 chains in the corner. That's because normally you would be using yarn efficiently when you're trying to do granny squares, right? This isn't using yarn efficiently. If you efficient this, then you just fuck up your granny squares. This is made to make 14, though I do know that you can make 15 out of it, because I think also what they did is that they gave you yarn to fuck up on. So they were like, for sure you can make 14 after you fuck up the first one. But I do know if you don't fuck up the first one, you theoretically can make 15, because I've seen where people make 15. So there's that. Then I've also seen people complain about the color pulling aspect, which is they keep having to change their tension. Duh? I'm very confused by that, because I guess mathematically you shouldn't have to if they had measured the yarn color changes correctly. Like, if it was exactly the right amount of each color before the change, I guess you shouldn't have to change your tension with each color. But like, if you do color pulling at all, like, yeah, you're gonna have different tension for different colors. That's just how it works. Like, the people who are really pressed about that irk the fuck out of me, because it's like, yeah, that's how this works. It's not yarn where you don't think about it. I think that's what a lot of people thought this was going to be. I think they thought that this was going to be yarn where they don't have to think about it and they can just whip up a granny square. That's not what this yarn is for. This yarn is so that you don't have to cut and put in new colors. You don't have to cut and weave in ends. It wasn't so that you didn't have to think. This makes you think more. Like, and I think a lot of people thought this was going to be like so much easier. No, not in that aspect. You're gonna have to think. You have to pay attention to this yarn, just like you have to pay attention to color pooling. And so that pissed me the fuck off. They were like, I can't just sit down and do it. Like, yeah, correct. The purpose of this wasn't for you to just like fuck off while you're making your granny square. It was so that you don't have loose ends. What I'm getting at is that I like this yarn. I don't understand the criticism of it, because it is as advertised. It's plan pulling granny squares. Like, it is exactly as advertised. So I got this colorway. It was the only one they had left. It is called Soft White Hot Stuff. This is what it looks like. It goes from, it's dark red, purple, red, pink, and white as an outline. So I've made the first one. I made it off camera because I wanted to figure it out for myself without having to like worry about the camera stuff. And so I made the first one. There's a little bit, just like a tiny bit. This is my connecting layer. There's like a little bit of overlay, but I think it worked out pretty well. This took me roughly 30 minutes. Really not bad. I had to redo a few, like as in go back a few times to make it like color correctly. I will say I saw a tutorial that said you should start with a 4-inch chain. I mean a 4-inch little bit. So that is correct. If you measure out 4 inches and then make your center, you got it. Like that was correct. I will say there's more purple than you need. Just like there is more purple than you need. I had to go over the starting chain. Right here you can see my starting chain kind of tucked under that third stitch. I shouldn't have had to make that third stitch, but there's more purple than you need. There really is. So I did in fact have to go over that third stitch just to get rid of the excess purple, because I redid it multiple times and it's just, they did the math wrong on the purple. They really did. Now the other ones, the math was right. I'm gonna be honest. The only one that it seemed like there was too much was purple, and it didn't seem like there was too little of any of them. Like other than that, like it worked out really well. I had to go back a couple times just because I was having, like I said, my tension's tight normally and I'm having to loosen my tension for this. So my tension was too tight. I had stuff left over. So I worked it up. I like it. This colorway isn't something I would choose, but I mean, I'll make something out of it. I'm not going to waste the yarn because it does look nice. Maybe I'll just make something like Valentine's Day themed. Another critique I saw of this yarn was people who kept not having enough of a color. And that irritated me because they weren't thinking about it like color pulling. So, like I said at the beginning of this video, they made this square have extra yarn because it's made for the girlies with really loose or really inconsistent tension, right? So you have 3 chains in every corner and you have a chain in between every single square. That isn't necessary, but it's there to cake up the extra yarn. So if this is made to have extra chains in it that aren't necessary, if you keep making this granny square and you keep not having enough of a color, it's in the extra chains. Take off the extra chains. I saw so many people who didn't have enough of a color and they just kept changing their tension. And I was like, changing tension is for if you keep having too much left over. That's when you change your tension or change your hook. If you don't have enough of a color, it's the opposite. You don't need to change your tension or your hook. You need to take out the little chains that's in between each square. Instead of 3 chains in the corner, you do 2 chains in the corner. And I didn't see anyone do it. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed somebody who did that. But everyone I saw have too little of a color. They just kept changing their tension and then complaining, instead of understanding that the way this is designed is where if you have too little of a color, you just take out the extra chains that they have built in for you. Like, it seems so obvious to me, but apparently not, because I haven't seen anyone do it. And that's also why I wanted to try this, because I keep seeing people shit on it. And I'm like, this is exactly what Red Heart said it was. Why are you mad? Why are you mad? I think this is great yarn. I think it's great. I'm gonna work up this whole thing. I don't know what I'm gonna make out of it. We'll see. I'm gonna order more in the colorways that I wanted because I think I want to make a blanket. I've never made a granny square blanket, so I think I want to make a blanket. I really like this yarn. I do. I just think you need to understand what you're getting into when you get this yarn. You have to pay attention. You do. But I promise you it'll work. It will work. And then the last thing I want to say is that there's also people complaining that it's Red Heart because Red Heart has a very specific feel. It feels like cheap acrylic yarn because it's cheap acrylic yarn, you know? So it's not the softest. It's not the smoothest. It's yarn that like everyone starts out on. You know, it's like Mainstays yarn from Walmart. It's the yarn that you learn on. The yarn that you start out on. And I don't mind it. Like, would I make a sweater out of it? No, I think it would be itchy. But it says Red Heart right there on the package, sweetie. If its texture is gonna bother you that much, then don't get it. It says it right there on the package. It says Red Heart is gonna feel like Red Heart. If you hate it, don't buy it. But if you understand what it is and you don't mind, it's great yarn. I really like it. I'm gonna buy more colors. So I just want to put in my 2 cents. I've made one. I am on my second one. Here we go. And I'm gonna work up the rest of the squares. I don't know what I'm gonna make out of it. I will let you know. And then I'm also gonna order some. And I think I'll make a blanket out of those. But I'll probably do this as a video of just like testing it, and I'll do another video of like getting more, making a blanket, like that sort of thing. But I just wanted to come on here, have a little chat about this weirdly controversial yarn and say that I like it. Hi, it's editing Cassidy. I feel like I either left some things out or didn't like fully explain certain things, so you're gonna see me popping in to explain them better. I wanted to clarify that if you can't tell, this isn't a sponsorship. This isn't a sponsorship, and I just want to clarify that because I am one of the few good reviews of this yarn that I've seen, and I don't want people to think that I'm being paid to say good things about this yarn. I just actually like this yarn, and this yarn actually works for me. And that's just me. Everything in this video is my experience, my opinion. I fully understand that a lot of people do not have a good experience with this yarn, and that's totally valid. I just want to clarify that it's just me, it's my opinion, and it's my money that I'm spending on frankly too much of this yarn. Hi, I'm back. I have 5 now, and I'm averaging like 20-ish minutes per square. I've pretty much gotten used to like the tension that you need, but you do still have to adjust it like a little bit. So you might have to go back like a cluster or two just to make it like kind of work out. But so far, I really like it. I think it's a good product, and I am planning on making a blanket out of it. I ordered from Joann's and Yarnspirations about 10 skeins. I got 2 colors. I got 2 skeins of 5 colors, I believe. And I did make sure that all the skeins I got have the white borders, so that's easy to connect them, because there are some with white borders and some with black borders. And also, Yarnspirations has more colors than Joann's, but Joann's has nice sales. I don't know about Yarnspiration sales. I'm just familiar with Joann's. Like Joann's, they were 25% off when I bought them today. So that was fun. And like this one that I got was 25% off. So instead of $9.99, it was $6.99, which was nice. So I like it. I'm excited about my granny square blanket that I'm gonna make. I'm not excited about how many granny squares I'm about to have to make for that as a commitment, because I think I want to do a 12 by 12, and that's 144 squares. And you know, mentally, is that what I want for my life? We don't know yet. We don't know until we try, you know? But once that yarn comes in, I will be doing a yarn haul, doing a reveal. Oh, I do know one of the things I wanted to say. The colors are not like straight cut. Like they seem straight cut, right? It seems like it just goes pink to white. But look at all these little strands. The yarn is Red Heart Super Saver, right? It's there's little strands in it. So if you look, there's little bits of like this. There's little bits of red in that purple. So it's not like a clean cut. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. But that is something that might bother other people. That's one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say is I didn't talk about the ends on this end. So you start off with a 4-inch little piece. This one isn't 4 inches because it got woven into my center, but it's whatever. But you start off with a 4-inch piece, that's what it says. So I have gotten both kinds of ends. I've gotten ends where I have a bunch of white left, and I've gotten ends where it ends almost right on the money. I have measured it, and if this ends where you're right at where the red starts, like this one, if you measure 4 inches and cut it, and then measure 4 inches on your new strand to start the center, you will have enough to do the center. It looks like it's made to have it looks like it was made to have a tail. So there's more red than there needs to be because it's understood that it would be in the tail. So if your end ends like this, it is fine. Now, if it ends like this, that just means you can have a longer end. If it ends with white, it means that my tension was too tight, but it doesn't matter because it's the white. So I just cut it where the red starts. And then I measure 4 inches from where the red starts, and that's where I make my slip knot. And then you just have to adjust your tension because you're going to have a little more red than you need, so you just have a little bit looser tension than another one. Like I've been saying this whole time, these squares are not about consistency, they're about final product. So you're gonna be changing things as you go. And I honestly don't mind. I'm okay. But yeah, I think those were the only two things I forgot to mention earlier. So I'm gonna continue doing this. So another thing I want to address is that I've seen so many reviews of this yarn, like different reviews, and I feel like I've only seen one other review that likes it, and she doesn't even like it at first, she likes it in the end, and that's Passionate Kelsey's review. And I really agree with her review that after she got into the skein and made a few squares, it made sense, and now she likes it. And she made like, I don't know how many skeins of the granny squares, and I really agree with that. It does take a minute, it does, but I feel like I'm also looking at it from a color pulling perspective and not from a normal crochet perspective. And I feel like that's not what it's advertised for. Like, I don't know specifically what they're going for. I don't know if they're going for just like because I've seen like the ad on Yarnspirations, and I've seen like the different examples of like the different stuff that they made out of it, and then they also posted patterns about him, like patterns that you can use these granny squares for, which I'll get into in a second. But I don't know, I feel like a lot of people think that this is targeted towards beginners, and that may be true. I honestly can't tell because I haven't seen anything that says specifically beginners, which I could have just missed it. But a lot of what I've seen of reviews is that it's bad for beginners. I agree that it's bad for beginners. I do agree. Like, this should not be baby's first granny square. Like, 100% I agree with that. This would be very frustrating to new crocheters. This would be very frustrating to crocheters unfamiliar with color pulling and trying to make yarn, colored yarn, like have a certain amount of stitches in it. This is not for beginners at all. I would not recommend this for beginners at all. This would be immensely frustrating for them. Like, I tried color pulling too early because I saw plaid and got excited. That was bad. That made me very, very frustrated. That you don't want to do stuff like this as beginners. So I 100% agree with everyone that's saying this is not beginner friendly yarn. Super not. It is not. That would be horrible. Like, horribly frustrating to give to a beginner. But I don't think that makes it bad. I think it's just not for the people that they seem to be advertising to. Of like, the patterns are very simple, right? Like anything with granny squares is going to be considered like an easy or like medium at hardest pattern because it's made to be simple, because it's just made out of squares. It's usually like more geometric, it makes more sense, right? And I do agree that the patterns could very well be for beginners, could very well easily work for beginners, like, because I scrolled through the list of patterns that they had, and I think they're cute, and I want to do some of them. But definitely not, they're beginner patterns, but these are not beginner squares. This is the color scheme that I'm currently working with. But like, this is the one from the video, that I'm actually working on in the video. Like, these are not beginner squares. I 100% agree. It's still not bad yarn. As far as color pulling yarn goes, this is actually very nice. I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I do think it's finagly. I said my thoughts earlier on why I think they did the granny square in such a weird way, but I think they did it in the easiest way, because putting a chain 4 and looping them together is easier than a magic circle. And then putting all of these, like putting a chain in between each cluster and putting 3 chains in the corner, it uses up more yarn. So they give you that extra yarn, but then it also makes it easier for you to see what you're doing. So that again works towards beginner crocheters. Again, don't think this is good for beginners though. Just want to make the differential. Another thing I want to address is I did not realize when I started making these, and you saw me in the video start making these, that I wasn't using a 5.5 hook. Like the real girlies would have recognized I was using a Clover Amour and it was blue because it's a 5 hook, and I did not realize that. I thought I picked up a 5.5. Turns out, I don't own the Clover Amour 5.5, it's green, because I saw it in the store when I went to go get this yarn, and I was like, oh shit, I'm using the 5. So I was not using the recommended hook size for this. So I want to be fully transparent about this. I didn't do that on purpose. I was actually using a half size too small. But on this skein, it did work. I'm not saying it'll work for other people. I'm just saying on this skein, it did work. Now, why I'm clarifying that is to be honest in case someone clocks me, but also because on this skein, it did not work. I had too much yarn. Every single round was too much yarn. I was getting like annoyed because I was like, because I figured out that I was using the wrong hook size, but I was like, but it worked for this one. Like this one was fine. So why would this one not be fine? This one was not fine. This one, I had to pull out, I don't even know what kind of hook this is or if it says. I don't know what brand of hook this is. This was just a 5.5 that I had in my hook stash. So I had to pull this out to get these squares to work because the 5 was too small. So I guess it's not universal. Like for the skeins, like it should be, like the colors should all be the same size for the same row, but it didn't work. And then I also do want to say that now that I'm making a second one, what I said earlier, that there's too much purple, there's too much of the second color, has reigned true for this one too. There's too much of the second color. The second color is longer than it should be, which is weird. And I thought that was just like, maybe that's just that skein, maybe that's just that colorway. No, this yellow, there's always too much of it. There's always too much of it. All the rest of them seem to match up fine, but there's always too much yellow, which I think is just odd that you have one row that there's always too much of. I think it's just weird. But I have to do even looser tension on the yellow every time I get to the yellow to make it work. So that, I guess, is the same for all of them because they should be measured the same and just using different dye colors. It's been like 2 days, but I have developments. Nah. Look at she. So I decided to take the squares and make a little tote. And I'm not quite done with the handle. The handle, I found yarn in my yarn stash that mostly matched. And so I'm making just like single crochet rows. And then I'm also gonna do it on the inside. So the inside of the handles aren't quite finished yet, but they're gonna have the little colors on them as well. I love this yarn. I went and got more. I also ordered more because I ordered enough to make a blanket because they didn't have the colors that I wanted at Joann's. So I ordered more. Then I went to a different Joann's today because I needed to go to the post office Is that nearby? No. But I was in my car, and so I was like, I might as well drive to Joann's. So check this out. I love it. I made a TikTok about this, and I had someone comment, like multiple people comment on the colors. And I agree. These are not colors that I would pick out. I would also not put them together in this way, because going from red to this pink is very annoying to see, especially if you crochet in low lighting, which I literally painted the walls of this room black, like low lighting. You know, like I turn on a lamp to film this, and I'm gonna turn the lamp back off. But that's really annoying, and also just like a weird color choice, because like my like art school mind is like color theory. This is not it. You know, like this should be like at the end. It should either go light to dark, dark to light, or it should go rainbow order, and that's weird. And then it's the same thing with this. Like I would never pick these colors. I understand that these colors are not everyone's jam. To be very honest with you, they're not my jam. But I'm a very particular person, and I like very specific colors, mostly greens. So when I saw this, I was like, this will push me out of my comfort zone, and maybe I'll like it. So at first I didn't like this scheme, but then I made a bag out of it, and I was like, no, the bag's cute. Bag's cute. So I like that having these weird ass color combinations, and they're weird, push me out of my comfort zone. So I do enjoy that. I do enjoy that I'm not picking them. I'm just being told that these colors go together, make it work. And even in art school, I like having some parameters. Like I liked having not just a completely up to me project, having like some sort of parameters where it's like, you gave me a little thing and now I want to finagle it so that I like it. Because a lot of times I didn't like the project, so I finagle it to make me like it, you know? I like that. And I feel like that's what these are doing. I would never make this granny square organically. But now that I have it, I made a cute bag, and I really like the bag. Now, speaking of the bag, I made the bag before going on the Art Inspirations website and realizing that they had a pattern for the bag. I just always wanted to make a crochet bag where you do them like diamonds, like that. So I did it freehand. I understand it's a very easy pattern, but I just wanted to say, I wasn't just like trying to be like, yeah, I came up with this. It's a very easy bag pattern that lots of people do. I just hadn't known that Your Inspirations did it. I do know that now. And I did also see that they have a fanny pack and a backpack pattern, and you know your girl wants to do it. And we will be doing those because those look so cute. But I wanted to say, I realized that there was a pattern. I didn't follow it, but the main bag part is the same because it's, you know, laying out the granny squares in a particular way and then just sewing them together. But my straps are better. Okay, those little bitty straps that they put on all these damn crochet bags are the fuck out of me. Okay, crochet stretches. That's why I eventually want to put a lining in that bag. Crochet stretches. You do not put little bitty straps on crochet bags, because then those straps are just gonna stretch too. And now your crochet bag is fucking at your calf when you wear it because it stretched the fuck out because you put like a book in it. That's why my straps are different. I got thick ass straps. I'm trying to look out for the girlies, okay? Everything I make has thick straps. And then, like I said, it's not lined. I do have it up on my Etsy shop. It is for sale. If you want to get you one of these, and I'm also going to make more colors. But the one for sale right now is not lined, but it has a thick strap. So it will work better than little bitty strap patterns. Because I don't care what anyone says. Those little bitty straps stretched, I hate them. Hate them. So I will eventually have a lined bag also for sale once I get around to that. The main problem is I don't want to hand sew it because I want the lining to be like strong, like durable, which machine sewing is just better. And I don't want to clear off my desk to get my sewing machine out of my closet that's full of crap. But that's why the bag isn't lined. I do think I have fabric. I think I have white fabric for it. I don't think I have fabric to line this if I make this into the same bag. Oh well, I guess I can just go to Joann's again. But that is a plan. I do think the best way to make crochet bags is to line them. I think that's the only way to make them last. But I think if you make them sturdy with thick straps, they'll be okay as long as you're not putting a ton of weight in them. You know, they don't fill that bitch to the brim. Like put, I don't know, take a yarn shopping. Yarn isn't that heavy. Guess what? I duped you. This is the inside. I weaved in the ends. Yeah, that's right. I fucking did the thing. But I finished it. See, I finished the straps. Aren't they cute? But I finished my cute little bag. I probably will put a lining on it at some point in my life. But finish this bag. I am gonna put this on my Etsy shop. I really like this yarn. And it's just so cute. Like, this is such a cute bag. I love this bag so much. Now, do you want a sneak peek on some other yarn that I bought? Sneak peek. I don't know why I got this. It gave me a weird calling. This is fun. And these two. Are they going to be bags? Yes. So, I made a bag. And I really like the Granny Square yarn. See you guys next time.